and welcome to this episode of the Drink Less, Live Better podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Williamson, and I'm really glad you're here with me. Today, I want to talk about another phrase that falls into the things you'll never hear me say category. I get it. It sounds pretty harmless, doesn't it? Maybe even supportive, but it's something I've consciously stepped away from, and I want to share why. For me, I get it. Those three words carry more weight than they seem to on the surface. Because I don't get it. Not fully, not completely, not in the way that phrase implies. You and I have different lives, different histories, different experiences that have shaped how we see the world and how we move through it. Even if parts of our stories overlap, they won't match exactly. They never can. And I think there's something quite important in acknowledging that. When someone says, I get it, it can sometimes feel like the conversation quietly closes. There's an unspoken full stop. I've noticed it in conversations over the years. Someone shares something vulnerable, something layered, something nuanced, and the response comes back quite quickly. Yeah, I get it. Yeah. And then that's it. No invitation to keep going, no curiosity, no further depth. It's a kind of tidy ending. It implies a version of me too or same girl, same that takes no notice of the reality that cannot ever be exactly me too or indeed not quite the same girl, not quite the same. However, I don't believe the ending of the conversation is what most people intend. Often it's said with warmth, with kindness, with empathy, but we all know intention and impact aren't always the same thing. When someone is sharing their experience, they're often looking for not a neat summary or quick agreement. They're looking to be heard, to be really deeply listened to. And being heard is not the same as being understood. I would rather stay in that place of listening, of openness, of curiosity, than rushing somebody to a conclusion that might be started with, yeah, I get it. There's also something about I get it that can unintentionally centre the listener rather than the speaker. It can subtly shift the focus and move the attention away from the speaker. It's something I've become more and more aware of, both in how I listen and how I respond to others. By this stage of life, perhaps we've lived through different chapters: careers, relationships, parenting or not parenting, health challenges, loss, reinvention, invention. Some things have gone to plan and others absolutely have not. Two people can be the same age and have entirely different emotional landscapes. So for me to say, I get it, would feel like I'm glossing over all that richness and complexity of your life. And I don't want to do that. I want to be respectful of the fact that your experience is yours. Even if I've been through something that looks similar on the outside, it won't have felt the same on the inside. So instead of saying, I get it, I might say something like, that sounds really hard, or I'm so glad you told me about this, or would you like to tell me more? Sometimes I'll maybe ask a question to understand a bit more about the situation, the circumstance, or whatever it is that's going on. It allows the other person to keep unfolding their experience rather than wrapping it up neatly for the sake of the conversation. There's also something freeing about admitting that you don't fully understand, saying out loud, oh, I don't get it, or I don't understand your experience. Maybe it's up to me to do some research on the subject, because lots of people not getting it, whatever it is, might be a problem, and maybe part of the solution is education. I get it can sometimes also be a quick bridge to move things along. But let's be real, some conversations aren't meant to be moved along. And if you're not capable of having those types of conversations, that's fine too. And if you are, maybe that is a glorious thing. Some conversations are meant to be slow and thoughtful and meandering. As usual, in the Things You'll Never Hear Me Say series of podcast episodes, this won't be about banning a phrase or judging anyone who uses it. It's simply an invitation for you to notice it. To notice what happens in a conversation when those words are said, to notice what might be missed, and perhaps to experiment with something different. A pause, a question, a moment of quiet acknowledgement. You might find it changes the tone entirely. It might create a little more depth. Thank you for being here with me today. You can find me on Instagram at drinklesslivebetter and online at drinklesslivebetter.com, where you'll find lots of supportive resources. Check today's podcast show notes for a link to a hidden episode that will help with 5 p.m. cravings and details about my one-to-one life coaching and sober coaching programs. And P.S. I believe in you.